GM. GM. So, got a bunch of new charts here because what we've seen since October is a bunch of projects launching and rushing out their new token. Just want to see how some are performing. So Beam, it's a bit older. Say, a bit older. It launched again. I think Say is topping out. I'm pretty sure it's broken. It broke the uptrend, dropped down, took out some liquidity into a lower high bounce. I would guess it's going to get choppy, but eventually just make its way lower. Celestia, same thing. I think Celestia has probably put in a lower high. Maybe it'll keep going higher. It doesn't look as bad. I don't think I'm not saying it's going to follow like this path exactly. But Celestia went up from $2 to $20. 50% pullback wouldn't surprise me. Sorry, 50% pullback to about $10 wouldn't surprise me. Right back down into that wick to fill it in. Maybe it bottoms out at this nice support level here, where you could see it come down into that area and then go from there. Inspect, right? New launch pattern. New launch, consolidate, rally, sell off. These will just most likely bleed now, because the way airdrops and new launches work is basically this. They have this a very similar common pattern where they rally up, consolidate, pump, and if the pump continues, great, like Celestia. If the pump continues, then it's a good coin. If the pump doesn't continue, then the early investors, early traders take profit, they get out, and they go again some other time. Zeta, this is a brand new launch. I see Zeta has had a really strong squeeze up from 68 cents all the way up to $2 in one day. Starting to pull back now. Wouldn't be surprised if it just keeps kind of bleeding lower. The funding rates were super negative going into the daily close and off the daily open, but since then it has normalized. So Zeta is one that I'm looking at probably to drift a little bit lower. Manta. So I've drawn out these different paths on Manta. So Manta had its launch, consolidate, rallied up, it's back below. If it's going to do the Tia path, the Celestia path, it's probably going to go like the green, right, where it goes sideways and then climbs the way back up. Otherwise it'll just bleed. Jupiter starting to try and form a little bit of a move higher. I would say Jupiter can probably go a bit higher. I'd drawn out this previous squiggle yesterday. Jupe from here, depending on, I haven't looked at the data to see if there are many shorts, but it's launched, consolidate, it could have a rally up. So don't be surprised if there's sort of breaking out one leg, two leg, and then down. Wouldn't be surprised if it gets to 75 or 85 cents. Depends. Also not expecting that. That's just a potential path. Pith had a nice little rally up there. So after its launch, consolidated, kind of started to grind up, pumped up into the highs, took out all this liquidity here. That's probably it, I would guess. Maybe it goes a bit higher. Jito continuing its grind down into zero, which is what you want to see. Just grind and grind and grind. Later on, several weeks from now, maybe it can have a nice run. Alt, same one as I talked about yesterday. Down into the lows, pop up, probably bleeds. Ondo, same kind of thing. Maybe pops up and reverses. I would say I would say not that. I would lean towards this, which just bleeds. And the point of all this is just to look at the nature of the market, where we're at in terms of risk and risk taking. The market's not risk on at the moment. Right? It hasn't really been risk on since, let's just say, since Total 3 topped out. Total 3 topped out on the 2nd of January, right? And that's it. Since that, we're not in an uptrend. We're not in a rally. And this is where people usually, and that's why I'm urging a bit of caution for altcoins, is that people usually continue to try and trade alts the same way that they had been trading them since October. But we're in a different market. right? The market was up only, it's now not up only. And so I think that it's probably more likely that we see stuff just bleed, and it's the newer stuff as well that'll bleed because they're the new launches, and if there's not enough hype and interest in them, they're gonna struggle. So I think we need to give it a bit of time. The market needs to sort itself out, consolidate, build some bases, start to form some bottoms. Right, this is not a bottom yet. Like for Total 3, you'd need to see a lot more from it for it to actually, give you any kind of confidence that it's gonna reaccumulate and go higher from these prices. The one sector that is doing pretty well, which is AI. So you got render, which is in the beginning stages, I think, of forming a base here. But I would still look at this and say it's probably, it's had its buying climax on the AR. So if you're looking at a Wyckoff, first sell off, pushing up now. I wouldn't be surprised if there's false breakout, back to support, back up, and then when it starts to actually build right up to the top corner later on, you can see a big run, big breakout on render. But a lot of people, as it's starting to rally up this time, I don't know if that's going to just continue. But certainly the AI ones are looking better than most. You've got BitTensor, definite confirmed breakout on the daily there. Technically confirmed. I still, as I've said all along, I think this comes all the way back down because there was a lot of shilling and people got way ahead of themselves. I think it's going to come all the way back down. But I'm not bearish on BitTensor. I think it just needs more time. Could be wrong, of course. Akash looking nice and strong here. But AKT, it needs to get above $3. Above $3, an AKT will go a lot higher in my opinion. But below that, it's just going to consolidate. Here we go. There's a under over forming. So we had a low with the market structure level on the daily. We set the lowest low. We broke above it, confirming the MSB. And now we're back forming that right shoulder. But I've seen these, this can very easily just consolidate in here and then grind down into another low before it actually goes up. So it needs to really clear out all of this and start closing above this $3 level. That's when you're then saying that breakout's imminent. So it's looking really good. It's not quite there yet, but it's certainly strong. And you can see this from Nvidia. Nvidia is still the strongest stock. Even again, pre-market, it's up from 630 to 640. So Nvidia is just flying, and that's why the AI coins are doing quite well at the same time. So I think overall, apart from the AI hype, there's, the markets is needing a little bit of time to cool off. So that's normal. You just let it do that. The market's going to do, where we go? We went October, November, December. We had basically 3 full months of up only, pretty much uninterrupted. Every dip getting bought. We're now January. We've only just got 1 month. It was the 3rd of Jan. We're on the 2nd of Feb. So 3rd of Jan is when altcoins topped out. Sorry, 2nd of Jan. So exactly a month. 1 month is not a long time. Not a long time. So, yeah, for alts, I think a little bit more time is needed. I don't think we see a 6-month reaccumulation. We had that, right? We had that from April until October of 2023. I think there's plenty of, it's maybe another week or two, and then alts can start moving higher. Maybe going into March. But the main thing is just don't get yourself chopped up. If your altcoins are down off the highs and they're in a nice structure and you want to buy the dip with spot, go for it. Be prepared to be patient. And your longs, I think the best longs still need time to set up. Cause and effect. They need a little bit more time. Alright? So that's it. GM. See you all later on the live stream. GM, GM, GM.